How is it going? All right, well, let's get into it. In this video, I'm going to talk about how to do SEO for home services businesses, right? So typically local businesses that go to homes or do the types of services, plumbers, roofers, HVAC, all those types of companies. But really, this is going to apply to anybody who does a business locally where people are searching and Google Maps shows up that map pack, the 3 local listings. If you show up there, or if businesses show up there on the searches that your customers are making, then you're a local business, and this probably applies to you. So this is going to be more around local SEO though, not what I would do for like a national or somebody who's trying to rank nationally for keywords as much as this is for local. So let's get into it. And we're going to start by going through figuring out what to target and then going down those steps and how to target those different pieces. So yeah, let's get into it. So I'm going to go through, it's going to make me change this real quick. So let's get into this. Now I have a little checklist that I use for an analysis, right? That I'm going to be using here to go through this and make sure we have everything. But what we want to start with is just our primary keywords. So I'm going to say, let's start a roofing company here. That's what I'm going to use as our example. So we'll say we have a roofing company. We'll call it Johnny's Roofing Company. All right, cool. So that's the first thing that you want to do though, is you want to make sure that whatever your category is, right? So roofing contractor, that's just roofing, really. You can add roofing contractor to your name, but even just having roofing in the name for this works. But it just depends on your business, right? And it depends on your categories. You want to try to have the primary category or your primary searches in the business's name. So if my name was just Johnny's or Johnny's Company, I might have a problem. Roofing's a little easier because most roofers have roofing in their name. So that's the best way to go. So make sure you know what your primary category is going to be. And then we want to put the business keywords in our name. That's kind of down this list a little bit. The business name here, though, if it's Johnny's Roofing Company, good, that's great. So now secondarily, we want to get the primary and secondary categories for our business. Now, you want to make sure that what you choose for your business is going to be the primary category is what you want to land for the most, because that pulls the most weight. You want to make sure your primary category is what you want to rank for. Then secondary categories are nice to add. Sometimes you can rank for them. Sometimes Google puts them kind of into the same mix. Other times they're going to be way more difficult to rank for, but you want to put them in there so that you can show up for those secondary searches as well. But your primary category is the most important here. I keep pulling this up. So we can see here, if I click on some of these roofing companies, that they have roofing contractor as their primary. Looks like we have gutter service, siding contractor, window installation, and you can just go through. You can use this. You can use this plugin. It's called Plepper, P-L-E-P-E-R, Local SEO Tools. and it'll let you see those secondary categories. So here's another one, right? Roofing contractor only. So we can see a few of these are only roofing contractors. Service establishment, gutter service, siding contractor, window installation. So I would just go through 10, 20 of the top people in the area and write down every category, make the whole list. You can even go to Google and look for stuff, but it's almost easier. There's so many categories. It's almost easier just to try to figure out the ones that you want to rank for. And if you do something weird, if you do something maybe a plumber would do, or a gutter company or a siding company, right? Then you can even just type in, siding company and go through a few of those and see what kind of categories pop up there, right? So make a nice list. You don't want to use that many of these. You only want to use the ones that fit you and fit you well. You don't just want to throw them on. If you have too many, it can start to hurt you. That being said, having a couple can be helpful. As we can see, though, it depends. You can see in roofing here, right? A lot of people are ranking with just roofing contractor. So this is the key. I will continue to harp on this over and over again. Everything is relative. There is no one, this is what works. It's always going to be relative to your market, your competitors, and what they're doing. Cool. So we start here with the business name, categories. We're going to say roofing contractor, right? And then we might be adding a few other secondary categories to this if we want. But for the most part, as long as our primary category here is roofing contractor and there's nothing else that applies, that's pretty good. Like I said, we might add a couple secondary depending on what the customer does. So, okay, keywords in the name. That's a yes. That's good, right? So we can move on from that. Okay, address. Now, if you're a service area business, we want to get an idea of where you land, right? Meaning when you, so if I find one here that's a service area business, it wouldn't be too hard. There's usually a million of them. Come on. Where you at, buddy? There you go. So this one's a service area business, right? So if you are a service area business, you want to see something like this where the area you cover is showing up in the circle. If it's not, you're not going to show up for results there. So for the service area business, make sure you have the area that you're showing up on the Google business profile is where you want to be showing up. If it's not, then there's a problem there. Otherwise, for your physical address, you want to make sure that your PIN is in the right location and that that's working. I also would write down all this information. This is usually what I do for every customer. I write down their address exactly like we're going to use it, their business name exactly like we're going to use it, the phone number exactly. You want all these things to be uniform and keep using them the same way. But we can check, make sure the address looks okay. Yes. Usually I'd just be recording the address here, most likely, right? Same with the phone number. Record the phone number. That's good for later too when we build directories and things like that. So, okay, phone number. Yep, we have a phone number there. It's our phone number. It's working. Okay, hours. Right, so we can always go check our hours. This is a pretty good hours for this business here that I'm looking at randomly. 7 to 9 p.m. That's pretty good. Basically, I would do 7 to 9 every day, or the best thing you can do is 24 hours a day, because you're going to rank higher than your competitors when you're open, especially if they're closed. So if, I'll get a lot of calls, or my customers will get a lot of calls after 6, 7, because they're ranking higher now in those evening times. The only time I would be careful is if you actually are going to get calls. If you're in an emergency services, roofing might be on the edge there, but if you're in an emergency service, maybe even plumbing, stuff like that, Make sure that you set the hours to where you can actually take the calls. Set them as late as you can on as many days as you can. But if people actually call you at night, you don't want to have hours that you're not going to be answering the phone. Otherwise, if no one calls you at night, like for a home builder or gutter company, landscaping, no one ever calls at night. So 24 hours is fine for most of those. So I'd record the hours here, right, of the business, maybe figure out what I would want to do here. Okay, website link. So now let's just keep going with this. I can come here and I'm going to say, okay, here's our website link. I'm going to copy it. Okay, and then I'm going to go to the actual website. So this might be let's see if this is a national company. I think so. So I actually can't tell. So what we want to do though, let's copy our website here. So you can see here, this one has a tracking code, but it goes to their homepage. So now we want to figure out, where is this website? Where's our primary website? If you're a local business with just one location, maybe a couple, you want your primary location to go to your homepage. Okay. That way, if possible. If not, it's fine too. But your homepage or whatever page is linked to your Google business profile is what we want to review as we go down this list. Okay. So I'll make a note of what is linked to the Google business profile, and we'll go down to our reviews score now. Okay, so we can see this business, we have 4.8 total score, and our count is 33 reviews. Great. Just kind of make note there, make sure there's no problems. Okay, now we want to see, are they doing Google business profile posts? You can see here this business is not. There's no Google business profile posts, whereas here on DeBella, you can see here from the owner, right? Updates from customers, right? So these are, they're doing posts. So we'll say yes or no. I know this is getting more into an audit, but these are things that you want to keep doing and are also good to take note of while you're setting things up. But all these are setup pieces too, or ways to improve yourself when doing SEO. So 15 days ago, latest image, does it have a cover photo? So you make sure you want to have a cover photo. Okay. And then, are we responding to reviews? So you can see down here, yep, responding to reviews, yes. Recency of reviews. Now what I'll do is I would go through and figure out how many reviews are we getting on average. So I could go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, well, I'd keep going. I want to figure out how many reviews are we getting on average in a month, and note that number. Let's just say 20. Okay. So all of these factors, if you don't have a Google business profile and you're just getting it set up, that gives you an idea of what you're going to want to do. If you do have a Google business profile, you can go through and audit your profile and get an idea of where you sit in that within your niche, your market, to your competitors. So this is how we can figure out what we're targeting, right? Our categories, and get our business profile set up the right way. And you want to go through and put in all the rest of the stuff, a description, the cities you serve, fill out as much as you can on the Google business profile when you're setting that up. There are things in that Google business profile that we can't see from the outside perspective, but that when you go in, you're able to fill out. Okay. So that's the start though with the Google business profile and giving us some direction there. Now what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're linking all of this together in a way that makes sense for Google. And that means the business profile and our website. So what I'll do then next is we want to get an idea of where we stand on our website and see where we can make improvements. So let's come back here to this handsome roofing just for fun. And let's go through our checklist here. So first, I'm going to start with Ahrefs. You can start with Ahrefs, or you can start with SEMrush, or really just anything. And you want to take note of your domain rating. Okay. So in this case, the domain rating is a 0.1. It is what it is, right? It doesn't need to be bad or good. That just usually means the people who are linking to this website aren't very authoritative. So this website itself isn't very authoritative. And if we want to rank well in the Google search and an AI search, that's something we're going to want to work on and address. But typically, I address that slower until the Google business profile is working for us and we have money to invest into this as more of a secondary area for local search. Okay, the number of backlinks and referring domains is great to know, but once again, we get a good idea of, are those backlinks very good backlinks right here by our domain name? They're probably not. They're probably directories or, just easy to get or super low quality backlinks. Okay, so we get an idea there of where we are, and then I like to take note of the backlink acquisition. We can see here referring domains is going up, so it's positive. But at the same time, having a DR of 0.1 means that that's relative. So I'm going to say positive, but with that low domain rating. So great. Now we want to go to the Google Business Profile linked page. And this is where it's really important to understand how this works. If you're linking to your home page, then great. That's where we want to do all this. But if you're linking to a location page because you have multiple locations or you're using a different page, then we want to make sure that page is speaking to the Google Business Profile in a relative way, right? It's giving us that information. So it really doesn't matter which page it is on your website. If it's your home page, great. If not, that's fine. But we want to analyze the page that's linked to our Google Business Profile and prepare that page to do our best job. So in this case, here I'll pull up both of these since they were both. So when we look at handsome, okay, what we can do is we can say, I can click on this. This is called Details, the Details plugin. It's great. It's a great plugin. Now, what we want to do is go through the title, the description, and some headers. So I can just grab the title and paste it in if I want, or I can just give it a score. Is this title show us the location, and does it show us the primary category? Yep, there it is. Roofing company, that's fine. Meridian in Boise, Idaho, handsome roofing. Now, at some point, if I'm trying to rank for a keyword, I want to be more targeted here. Maybe I'm going to say roofer Boise, right? Maybe that's the keyword I want to target because I'm not going to rank for roofing company just on my website in search results. And Meridian and Boise are great, but this isn't targeted enough. But for our purposes here and trying to rank on the Google Business Profile, this is going to do a pretty good job. Their address is in, they're not using one. But we can kind of cheat this out. If I click here, I can get an idea of where they are, and it looks like they're around here. So looks like they have a Boise address. So that's actually really good. Well, it would be really good if they had a physical location showing up. So great. Okay. Meta description now. We come back to this Details app. Okay. It's a little long. That's fine. Looking to make improvements to your home's exterior. Contact us. For roofing, gutter. Great. Cool. In Meridian. Okay. So they're saying Meridian. Their phone number. That's not bad, right? That does a pretty good job. I would shorten that, obviously, so we're in the green here, but it's typically not going to hurt you too much there. But you want to mention, right, what you're doing for people and mention your service. That does a good job of that. Okay? So we'll give it a too long. All right. So go through. I want to fill out your meta description. Okay. Now we're going to look at the H1. So if I come into here to headings, right, we can see this is all jacked up. So tons of improvement potential here. This is a book. You want this to read like a book. So H1 is the title of your book. H2s are chapters. H3s are subchapters, and so on. So let's go to Debella just to look. So we can see here, like we talked about, this is a landing page for their location. But we can see here that they say Boise's trusted home remodeling contractors. So that's interesting that they're a remodeling company here. They're just called Debella. Oh, okay. We're in siting. Right. Contractor. Interesting. Okay. Cool. So Debella then is just a contractor generally, and it looks like they've done a pretty good job here at ranking for contractors. I would probably be saying I'd probably be targeting a search here at their level, but maybe they are. I don't think they are, but maybe they are. So we have this title, right? You want that to have your targeted keyword that you want to rank for. There's no point here in putting a bunch of information that is not trying to rank for something on this page. This page could be ranking for Boise contractors, and you should be targeting that. So with the title, the description here, that's good, right? That's where you can be a little more loose. Now we see the headings here. This is more what headings are supposed to look like. So we can see here that the H2 up here, Boise, whatever, it's not getting in the way. It kind of doesn't do anything. I'd probably get rid of that. But the H1 here, home improvement contractors in Boise, Idaho. That is more targeted, right? That is more targeted towards a search. But it also is giving Google the information that it needs. So that is a good H1, especially if we're just focusing on the Google business profile and getting that going. But either way, this is a good H1. It's targeting. It's giving Google all the information that we need, as opposed to this one over here. Will help you weather any storm. No, that does not mean anything in regards to roofing, right? So you want to have this structure of headings. Now, I would take everything out that doesn't give information, though. So choose your project, started today, 10% off, 10%. Those are all just kind of useless. Then we have this H2. Then you have all of these, what looks like questions. So if those are actual frequently asked questions down here. See, I don't even know where those are at on the page. So I don't even see them, which is weird. Let's just search for one. Oh, it's all of these. Every blog post on here to link to is a H3. So that's kind of unnecessary, right? To me, this should say home improvement, right? How we can help you. Maybe some stuff under there. Choose your project. Get started, right? That's the kind of information. And then, like available specials, right? Then maybe these are H3s if you want. Contact if you need it. Probably don't need it there. Cities we serve. That's a great H2, right? What customers say, or reviews. Those are your H2s, right? That's your chapter. Look, this whole page is already laid out in chapters. Community involvement, available specials, contact, service areas, reviews, share your experience, related articles. That's a good use. Then if those H3s, those are fine, but that's how you want your H1. H1 needs to be targeted, H2. So I'd say, what do I need my H1 to be? I want it to be targeted towards my keyword. typically you're going to look for something like gutters, or let's say roofing Boise, right? That's a good start to an H1, especially if that's the exact keyword you're targeting. Roofers in Boise. It doesn't have to be that short or long. You know, it can be longer. That's fine. But it just really depends on your keyword and what you're trying to rank for on your Google business profile. So headers, you know, that gives you an idea of how your headers should be. We'll say poor headers here on our handsome, right? This header here, their H1. I like the H1 to be first. It should be first. It's the book title. You don't have pages before the book title, right? But this should say something about roofing. And the H2s should say something related to roofing if you want to rank for roofing, but also if you want to show Google you're trying to rank for roofing. So that's where we can have some improvement here. It gives you an idea of what. Now, this is where target keyword, we can say, is there a target keyword here that's obvious? Well, yeah, it looks like, you know, roofing company is kind of the keyword. But I don't get that very strongly. Here I see home improvement contractors in Boise. So somewhere along those lines. So now what I would do is I would make a list of keywords and reverse engineer this whole thing. So how do we do that? What we can do is we can use our two places, our Google Maps, and then we can use a tool like Ahrefs or SEMrush to really gather the keywords that are going to be related to our industry. And you can just do this page by page. And then we're talking about the main page that links to the Google business profile. So it's going to be a service and a city. That's typically what you're going to be trying to rank for, right? So we want to look these up. We want to do the research, and then we can do this page by page as you make service pages. But let's keep sticking to our primary page. So what I can do here, if I'm looking here, I'm saying home improvement contractors in Boise. I'm going to go to my Google Maps. I'm going to start typing in some of this stuff. Home improvement contract. So home improvement contractor isn't really, that's not a search that's coming up for us, right? So if I say, let's try contractor Boise. So I'm not seeing that. Contractors Boise. Nope. Home remodeling Boise. There we go. So there's a keyword we can grab and we could put on our list. This is all bugging me. This left justified. So that would be a really good keyword to target. Now these guys are home improvement contractors. Home contractor. Let's see if we can find that. There you go. So if it says, let's see, what were we saying? Home improvement contractors. So I guess this home improvement contractor is near me. That's potential. We can throw it on our list. And then let's try contractors Boise again. So if it says near me, it's a search. If it says near Boise, it's not. That's just giving you information. So let's try home. What did we try? Contractor. What was I at? Home contractor near me. Home contractor services, right? Home contractors services. Home improvement contractors Boise home improvement Boise contractors. So that's a good search right there. Boise contractors. Now this is going to give us some information, but not all the information. So we start to build this list out, right? Of, I know I'm off the roofing now. Johnny's roofing is staring me in the face, but let's just keep moving here. I think this gives you the ideas of what you need to do. So now that we have these, we can actually reverse engineer these into something like Hrefs. So what I'll do is I'll come into Hrefs over here and we'll go into a Keyword Explorer. Okay, and I'm just going to type in remodeling. I want to go as simple as possible and do a search here. Okay, and then I'm going to go with matching terms and include Boise or the city you're in and show those results. Now it's going to give me an idea of the actual searches and the volume for these searches. So I can get some ideas here. Home remodeling Boise, right? That gets 80 search volume a month. Now that means in Boise, there's probably another 80 people who just search for home remodeling or home remodelers that aren't adding Boise to it. So we can do some guesswork here. But if it shows up, that means there's something there. So I can do this for contractor. I can get an idea. So Micron, nope, that's a business. But roofing contractor, okay, interesting. Roofing contractor, Boise contractor, home remodeling contractor. But really what this says is that remodeling is probably our better target, but it really just kind of depends. Boise contractor, yeah. So there's less search volume for Boise contractor than there is for just Boise remodeling. So now we can try home improvement in Boise, right? So we can see this says Lowe's information. So I can actually exclude Lowe's. It's going to make me do the full thing, huh? So, okay, that's probably Lowe's again, but Boise Home Improvement 20. Best home improvement contractor, Boise 10. So we get an idea of what should we target. So now this DeBellas is a big company. They do a lot of things, so they're going to be making it up in the aggregate. But for you, if you do one thing or two things, you want to pick really well exactly what you want to target, and you want to target that through and through, right? So that gives us a really good idea there of how to find keywords that we want to target. I would go through, record all these, pick which ones you want to target, and even choose different pages to do that on. Now, we can come back here to Handsome Roofing. We can see roofing, siding, gutters, windows. Okay, well, let's go through this. Let's grab another roofing company that's maybe doing a better job, or at least can give us more roofing specific information. So let's grab this Silver Lining Roofing and let's open their website and let's go back here. Okay, so keywords, we can pick our target keywords. We want to make sure that our Google Business Profile, the linked page, is targeting our specific keyword. Now we have an idea of how we can find keywords to potentially target, and this all gets reversed engineered, right? So if you want to target the keyword home remodeling, then your business name probably needs to be Johnny's Home Remodeling, and you want to have remodeler or whichever remodeling primary and secondary categories are going to fit you best. So target keyword, we can say yes, no there. Okay, now call to actions, right? So here we go looking at this Silver Lining, call to actions. You want call to actions above the fold. That means when you get onto the site, can you see the call to actions? This is pretty good. I'd probably, shorten this white space up here so that this is higher, but we can see we have a call to action right away. They're right there, and there's two options. Click learn more about us, or submit, or 208, or free estimate. I don't like the setup here that much, but you can see they're trying to get people to do stuff. So that's good. That's really good. So we want call to actions above the fold, and we want a lot of call to actions, right? I would make all of these basically phone or estimate actions, you don't want somebody to say, oh yeah, I'm ready to contact you, and click their red button and it takes them just to another page. You want the red buttons in this instance to take them to talking to you or sending you something. Okay. Now we're going to look for a few other things here on the linked page. Does it have an embed map? So you can see here, we don't have a Google Business Profile embedded map. On the page your Google Business Profile links to, you want a map embedded. And you want the address. I can get to that here in the footer, but that's similar. So no Google Business Map. And then we can look for frequently asked questions. There are none on here. So I think the page you link your Google Business Profile to, it's smart to have some frequently asked questions. It's a good idea. It's probably a little less necessary, but I think it's helpful. So that's a good thing to include on that page. So now we've gone through this page. We have a good idea of what needs to go on the page that links to our Google Business Profile. Let's go through a few more key elements that we want on the website so that this is all set up properly. Service pages. Every service you offer should have a page. Now, the way I like to break this down is based on what are people searching for. So roof replacement, is that something people search for? Even just generally, not even in my city. But I can start with roof replacement in my city. Hey, look at that. There are actually specific searches for roof replacement Boise in the city I'm in. So that's a great target service. And then I can use that service page to actually target the city that's most important to me. In this case, it could be roof replacement Boise. So when I go to my roof replacement, oh, look at that. Roof replacement is not even a page. It's just a link to all of these non-roof replacement. Roof repair is, roof replacement isn't. So that should be, roof repair is over here. So, okay, roof replacement. We have all these kind of asphalt, metal, TPO. So sometimes you just need information. That's fine. Roof repair. The way I would be breaking this down is more by the services, right? Our services, and then maybe roof repair, roof replacement, different shingles under roof replacement or whatever. So roof repair, is that another term? Right? Yep, Boise roof repair. So I'd probably be targeting this specific search, Boise roof repair. Instead of calling this roof repair, probably call it Boise roof repair, unless your company is so big that you have multiples. Right? So if we go back to our DeBellas, did I get rid of them? DeBella. So when I go to DeBella, if I go to their roofing services, well, they're probably in a lot of places, so they're not going to have the same information. This is still a great page, right? Residential roofing contractor, but they're not going to target a page. Now, or they're basically here targeting roofing as a search term nationally. And hey, they might actually be able to get some traffic from that, right? And hey, they might get customers that will come to their site that live next to a DeBella. Great, good for them. You don't, probably, in most every case. So instead of trickling down all the way to your city pages where you're going to try to have 15 things listed, you can just target your main city here with your primary service page. The only reason I would not do that is if your service area extends beyond multiple locations. Otherwise, for this silver lining, right, if they only have one location, which I don't see any other locations, they should be targeting with their service pages a specific city. It's going to be stronger that way. So this here, right, could give you some Boise. We see that actually has keyword search, but even if it didn't, it's still a good place, right? It's still a good use of your time. So asphalt shingles, right? Let's try asphalt shingles, right? There might not be any Boise search here, but if I take Boise out and I show results, now, okay, there are people searching for this. I don't need to rank for this necessarily, but the search volume tells me this is differentiated enough to give it a page. So that's a good page to make. TPO commercial roofs, right? Once again, this might not be something that has your city, right? There's no TPO commercial roofing in Boise, but there are people that is a showing up. It's showing up. So that means you should include it. You can go through all of your different services that you offer, and you can get an idea. Is that a service I would put? Or you can reverse engineer it the other way. Just put in roof and go through and see what people say. So look, roof repair, roof replacement, okay? Roof shingles, that's good. Roof installation, that's good. Solar roof, if you do that, you want to have that. Metal roof, they have that, okay? And you can just go through all of these and see roof inspection. That would be a good page to have. People search for roof inspection, okay? And you can just continue to go through roof cleaning if you offer that, right? Roof types, that's not really a service, but maybe something you can write on. I'd probably ignore that. You want to hit these commercial, right? This commercial ones more. Roof flashing, maybe you offer that, right? Maybe that's just, and then you can lump these in if you feel like it goes together with something. Roof leak repair, that could probably just be roof repair unless you do that specifically. But this gives you kind of the both of the ways. You have something in your head. Should I include it as a service? Well, do people search for it? Is it distinct enough? Then you can say, what else should I be including as a service? And you can go the other way, which is where you search for something general and look for whatever. You can do that on Google as well, on the Google Maps. Once again, I can say roof space R, repair, okay. Inspection, installation cost, roofing inspection, insurance claims. So that's another way you can find these kind of keywords. So this will help you build out a list, and then you can kind of fill in your gaps with what needs to be a service page, right? What do I have? What do I not have? And then how do I put them on my site in a way that's going to make sense to people? Now, these guys have property exteriors, siding, gutters, windows. I would either say services, or I would put the services in an order that makes sense, that this is roofing services, gutter services, siding services, other exteriors. You want to break it down in a way that people can understand. Now, once we have these service pages done, we can move on to our city pages. Now, this can be done a few ways, but basically you just want to take the 12 up to 12 major cities that from this location you serve. Once again, if you have multiple locations, you're going to have multiple city pages that all connect to that location. If you only have one location, you're going to have all these city pages that connect to your home page, because that's your primary location page for your major city, and those support it, right? So for me, right, when I'm building something out, I create, see if I can just reset this here. So we can see here's Boise, the primary city, right? But then I build out a Kuna, Nampa, Caldwell, Middleton, right? These are the pages that I build out. Meridian, Eagle, Star, those are the primary ones I build out every time. So you're going to go through, pick your main cities, and you're going to make a city page for each service category. Now, I don't think it needs to be much more difficult than that unless there really is the search volume there. So once again, how do we know? Okay, so I'm going to come through. I'm going to pick the cities that fit me the most. Meridian, Idaho. Okay. Nampa, Idaho. Kuna, Idaho. Middleton, Idaho. Okay. Eagle. So you want to do this for you. You pick out all of the different cities that you serve from this location. Now, you can go as deep as you want. As long as you're actually serving that city, you can make the page. But I think that if you're in smaller cities or cities that don't get their own distinct searches, then you don't need to go too deep. Like we have all of these little tiny places. Avamore, never even heard of that in my life, and I've lived here forever. King's Corner, Schwartz Corner, right? There's always going to be these little tiny municipalities or whatever around you that you might not serve or people don't talk about. Pick the ones that are your main areas around you, okay, that you serve. Do the whole list, that's fine. But then you want to break it into your categories as well. And this is like primary services, okay? So what I mean by that is like we see these companies all the time, right? These like plumber, HVAC, electrical companies. So that's how they would break those down. I would have Boise plumbing, Boise electrical, Boise HVAC, because those are main, primary, completely separate categories. But if you're a roofer and that's all you do is roofing, then you just want to make city pages that are roofing related. So you'll take all of the cities around you and you'll make a page for each of those cities for roofing. And in that content, you can include all the different things that you do, all the different styles, whatever. You can make that page kind of just fit everything. But you don't need to have Meridian roofing repair, Nampa roofing repair, Kuna roofing repair, Kuna roofing replacement, Kuna roofing installation. It's overkill. Most of those pages aren't going to end up on Google. It's not going to index them. So it doesn't matter to Google. And a lot of people love the idea of just doing a ton of work to make it look like they're busy. That's not going to help you, right? So just make it for every, city. Where this breaks, where you really want to be aware though, is if there's a certain search that you can target. If the search volume's there, then target the search by all means. So for instance, if I go roof and I go to my city, once again, apply, okay? And I could see Boise roof repair gets 100, right? Boise roof replacement gets 70. Those are good things to target. But since, in this case, I'm targeting those with my service pages, I don't need to target them twice, right? That's cannibalization. When you eat yourself with two pages that are trying to rank for the same thing and they kill each other, they cannibalize, right? So now I can look here for other things. I can check my other cities. So Nampa is one of the big cities around us that I still serve from one location. So Nampa roof repair gets its own 20. So, but now as I come down here, roof inspection 10s, I'm kind of down to almost nothing. So roof replacement Nampa, yeah, I might actually want to make these pages because there is some search volume. But if I go Meridian, which is an even smaller city, now I can see that, oh, well, this one even has some, there's some there. So that would warrant potentially making some pages. Kuna roof repair. Wow, that's great. So roofing just has more volume, I think, than other services. So whatever, that's great. If you find things that you can pull, then it's worth it. Now, in this case, under 10, I might just lump these together. But there is an argument here that over time I can do these 2 pages, right? And that's fine because they're separate ranking pages. So take your cities and you can get an idea of what searches are there. Now, this is where it even can go crazier. Some cities, some big cities, you actually have neighborhoods or areas. Like maybe like you live in Dallas and maybe there's North Dallas and people search for that, in South Dallas. I believe that was I believe that's the one I saw. So yeah, like emergency roof repairs in North Dallas. So if you have neighborhoods or areas or locations that are big enough that they pull their own search volume, it's a good argument that over time you want to target those searches because there's volume for them. Okay? So don't kill yourself. Start with just the main cities that you serve, up to 8, 10, 12 if you have a lot of cities around you that are important. Make one service for each primary category that you service, right? And if you do multiple, great, cool. And then you can kind of make a plan. Is there other places where there are searches where it would be worth targeting that more specifically? And you can break that down a little more. That's not a bad thing, but you just don't want to have a ton of pages that don't have any targeting. They're not going to be accepted by Google. They're not really going to get you much there. So that's city pages. So that's great. Got that out of the way. So you want all these city pages that are going to be targeting. And I'm going to say one more thing too. Sometimes things can rank for 2 things. So in this Kuna situation, I can make a Kuna roofing page. All right. And I can track, I can put roof replacement and roof repair on that page and I can track it, and it may rank for those terms. Right. So what you want to do is be focused on the terms you're trying to rank for and then reverse engineer if it's working, or if it's not, then take it the next step, right? But I always find it's better to do less and see what happens than to try to just blanket cover a ton of content, right, for absolutely no real benefit. Google's smart. It understands that for some of these smaller keywords, especially, even big keywords, that roofing repair and roofing replacement might be similar. Roofing replacement and roofing installation might be similar. So always look to what Google is doing with your content, right? It's the same kind of thing. You have to be looking at what competitors and what Google are doing and reverse engineering that a little bit. Don't just make a plan and go into it saying, I'm going to do this. I'm probably way too far away from this. My apologies. So, okay, key elements in our footer now on our website. Do we have a Google business profile embedded here? No. Let's go to our DeBella's Boise location here. Do we see any kind of Google business profile? No, but they do have a map. Let's see if their address is, yep. So they have their address here. So that's kind of, the map embed is really helpful, very helpful actually. Some kind of link to your Google business profile is super helpful. Let's see if they're linking to their, I don't know if I can see it that easily. Well, so you want to link to your Google business profile. That is a really good idea. You want to embed your Google Business Profile. That's a better idea. You want to embed your Google Business Profile on the landing page and then potentially in your footer. I like to embed it in the footer and put your address in the footer. Link your address to the Google Business Profile too, right? We want to build that thing up. We want Google to know we are directly related with this business profile, right? Once again, if you have a ton of locations, then that's not going to work the same way, right? But if you don't, put it in your footer. I will do that with 2 locations even. If somebody has 2 locations, put both of them in the footer, link to both the Google Business Profiles, put both of your addresses in there. Otherwise, make sure at least it's on that landing page. So there, and then our last things that we want to check here is making sure that our website is mobile friendly. That one looks good. I can just do an inspect here and I can switch to mobile. So, hey, yeah, this is a mobile friendly site, right? It works good on mobile. So that's good. And then we want to check schema. Okay. So what we can do is go to our schemavalidator.schema.org and you just put in the URL and it's going to tell you if you have schema. Schema is pretty easy to do. Here we go. We have a local business schema here. That's pretty good. So yeah, we could do more here, but this is schema. So that's good. We have a local business schema. If it just said organization or it didn't say anything, you know, some plugins will just pull the organization. So that means we don't really have our schema. If it says local business or roofing contractor, then that's going to be better. Okay. SSL just means that it's a HTTPS and it's working properly. So we know that's working. And then indexed, these are all indexed if they're on a Google Business Profile. You can't have a Google Business Profile linked to an unindexed, but if you do site colon and then you put in the domain, if things show up here, it's indexed. Indexed just means it shows up on Google search, right? So you want to make sure that your website doesn't have problems that cause it so that it can't be indexed or isn't showing up here. That can be a really big problem. That's a really easy fix. So this should give you a really good idea of the information that you want to go through. This is kind of reverse engineered through an audit. This is the audit that I like to go through just to get an idea of where somebody sits. But this can also help you go through and make a plan as to what you need, what do you need to do, what needs to be here, and how to do everything and have all of your pieces in the right place. So I will give this to anybody. Just send me an email, josh@brightbeamseo.com, or if you put a comment on the video, PDF or no, you got to put like a audit sheet or something. Just tell me what you want. I'm getting to the point where I have too many freaking things I'm giving out. So if you want this audit sheet, you got to tell me it's like an audit spreadsheet. Otherwise, just send me an email. Let me know you want it. I'll give you a copy of it. I got no problem giving this out. Hopefully this is helpful. And hopefully you can go out, make sure your website, your Google Business Profile is all set up, help yourself get it set up correctly, and just crush your local area, get leads, and dominate. With that, appreciate it. Let me know. Give me some comments, hit like, subscribe, send me an email, whatever. I'd love to hear more from people about what they're doing and if there's anything else I can talk about or anything I can do to help. So, rad. Take it easy.